What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, you are watching TWA Motorsports, and today, some exciting stuff for the truck people out there, guys. Look, I'm gonna rant for just a little bit, talk about some stuff that's going on in the shop, what runs, what doesn't, and what my plan is in this video, because it's gonna be kind of exciting, and you'll probably be able to tell by the thumbnail. But first off, guys, stuff that runs and doesn't run in the shop. It's about 50-50 out here, right? So Kohen's car runs. The Trans Am does not run, guys, of course. I am still waiting on a transmission from FLT Transmissions out of Illinois. That is where we are at on that guy. That will start to come together more once we get that transmission. That's really kind of what I'm waiting on. The green truck runs. There's some more stuff that I want to do to it down the road, but right now it's kind of on the back burner, but it does run and drive. The 52, guys, we robbed the motor out of that. It was a good running, driving truck. We robbed that motor and transmission. We put it in the 54 because that motor was trashed. We get this thing running good, shifting good, and then the rear end's hitting. You guys have been seeing some videos on that. I don't know where this video will land in the mix of that, but you saw a video already of us addressing some of the rear end concerns. We are still in that process, waiting on a few parts to tie that up. Like I said, that may be before this video. I don't know. The golf cart running like a top. The trailer, no issues there. The 72 runs. The 55 is not running. Of course, it doesn't have a motor or trans in it, guys. We're in the process of kind of mocking stuff up on it. We've got the motor assembled that you guys saw the video on, the LS, the 6-liter. I'm supposed to have the oil pan soon. We're going to be test fitting this guy in the 55. Once we know that everything fits fine, we kind of know where things need to be, then we're going to yank that out and we're going to start the assembly process of the 52, the flat black 52 back there. That 6-liter is going to live in that truck back there. So that's exciting. But look, a lot of people ask about the OBS truck. The poor OBS truck, guys, that we started on it. I kind of ran into some other stuff that I wanted to work on. I don't really have room to blow one apart. And so here's what I got to thinking. You know what? This truck ran and drove when I bought it. And I kind of want to drive it again. So I think we're going to start kind of working on this a little bit at a time. I'm going to get this thing running in this video and we're going to talk about what it needs, but I'm going to put the freshly painted bed on it. I don't know if that's going to happen in this video, but I'm going to put that bed on it. I'm going to kind of buff around on the paint a little bit. It's got some dings in it. I may have my PDR guy address, and we're going to kind of buff around on it, touch up some spots, but I want to kind of assemble this thing and use it as a daily driver for a little bit. So I did start to blow stuff apart, but I think, guys, like I said, we're going to kind of piece stuff together as we go, which would be more like what you would do if you had one of these trucks, or maybe it was your daily driver. So we're working on little things at a time. So when I first got this thing, guys, I didn't like the way the front was lowered. We redid that with new coils, new spindles, and of course, Little Shop Manufacturing, that brake kit. So we did a disc conversion in the back, and they're heavy duty upgraded front, and they are powder coated red, cross drilled and slotted rotors. Guys, it brakes and does incredible. We also upgraded to the NBS Master, but I started taking stuff apart, and the downside, guys, is I do this crap and then I change my mind or something. You know, I've got a lot going on out here. I'd rather work on the other stuff. We're in the process on the dually. But this was running and driving when I pulled it into this shop. Now, it doesn't run and drive right now for a couple reasons. One being the coil, guys. Back when Kohen had what we called the lawn mowing truck, the coil went bad on it. It was a 4.3 cat eye, rusty. It was a turd. And instead of buying one, the coil on the Vortex is the same as the coil on the 4.3. So I just robbed this off the 4.3, put it in his truck, and down the road we went. But that obviously rendered this one useless. So I've got a coil ordered. We're going to be installing in this video for sure. I don't know if it's the module or the coil itself, but I will show you guys. We'll show you that later here in this video, the process of drilling out the rivets and getting the new coil in place. And then aside from that, I do need to get a new charcoal canister. I tossed that because I wasn't going to be using it. We were going to LS swap this thing, which eventually may happen. But like I said, this is a good running motor. I threw away the bottom the shroud for the fan, so I need to get a new one of those. I still have the top. Other than that, everything under the hood is still there. I didn't get real crazy. I went ahead and started putting a few things back into place. I took the battery tray out. I painted it with some POR 15. I'm going to clean this up off camera, and I think this is where we're going to start. We'll get the battery tray back in. We need to get a battery in this thing, And aside from that, guys, I've ordered some pieces that I sold. So I sold the grill and the stock headlights because the grill had a few cracks, the headlights were faded. I was gonna upgrade anyway, so I think I'm gonna buy an aftermarket grill. Like I said, I don't know how far we'll get into it in this video. My goal for this video is to get it running. I've got the stock bumper still for the front. I do not have the back one. It is going to look a little weird with that nicely painted bed with all the shaved panels, but you know what, guys? I want to drive it. I think it would, and I'll kind of decide as we go whether I'm going to actually blow this thing apart and do something with it down the road, or we're just going to, you know, just have it as a nice little driver and stuff we can tinker on over time. Who knows what happens, but let's get started, guys. I think, like I said, I'm going to clean up this little area right here off camera. I need to vacuum some junk out of the bottom there. And then we are going to go grab the battery tray. I'll show you what it looks like after I painted it with that POR 15, and we'll get it installed. That's where we'll start, then possibly move on to the coil. We are going to hear this thing fire in this video. Got that mostly clean. We're going to be doing that here really soon. One other thing I didn't talk, I think I may have talked about it earlier. It's been a couple days, but I needed a charcoal canister, and I've got it in there, but I don't have the bolts in there to cinch it down yet because, guys, what I did was I took the bolts that I know I'm going to be using right now, and I coated those with some POR 15. So I cleaned the tops off really good, cleaned the threads off, including the ones that go in the inner fender or underneath to lock down the battery tray. You'll see that here in a second, but yeah, I needed this guy, and then I also coated the ones that go across the top rail here because our radiator shroud, remember I said I was missing the bottom one. I actually found one at a local salvage yard. I kept the top one for some reason. I think I was going to trim it, and so yeah, look, we could start maybe snapping some stuff back together. I'm going to do a little more cleaning down there. I need to vacuum out. There's a bunch of just junk and debris down at the bottom I need to vacuum out, but then we'll get the battery tray locked in. I also got a new battery over there, which I'll show you here in a second, and I think that's, yeah, let me get this cleaned out real quick. Now that we got that area clean, you can see my coated with POR 15 battery tray. Now, guys, look, this thing, when Gina put this together, they did not want it to come out. It's got all kinds of screws in it. It's got a stud that goes in the fender well here. And so that's what it's supposed to look like. And you can see what I'm talking about. I coated the top of my bolts. So yeah. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and a nut that comes in on that stud from the bottom to hold that guy in place. Now that we got that tray locked in, I've got a new to me, oh, that's not good, fan shroud. And I don't remember, guys, I think this was a real pain to get in there. This is the lower. I think I had to bend it around a little bit to make it happen, kind of swing it around with the fan. Just is a real pain in the butt to put in here. I have to do some off-camera yelling to get this installed. Oh, we're so close. Got it. Well, yeah, all right, got it. So now we've got 2 bolt holes in the bottom for this fan to go in. I think I'm gonna have to get down under there to do it. Oh yeah, we're clear. Hey, yeah, it's the correct one. There's 2 13s that go into the bottom, so I'm gonna put those in real quick. Got that locked in now. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. Before I go ahead and put the top one in, I'm gonna clean a little of this rail. I've started a little bit, but I wanna go ahead and pour some coolant in this thing. I drained all the coolant out. I just wanna make sure that we don't have any leaks. I've got the valve closed on the bottom, but I just, look, before we buttoning stuff up front, I wanna make sure we don't have any leaks, because obviously we'd have to pull this out if we had a radiator issue. So let me get some coolant poured in here. Now for this, I'm just alternating back and forth between just green antifreeze and distilled water. And looks like we don't have any leaks as of right now. I'm gonna pull, I've got a catch can under there I need to pull out actually. Okay, so far so good with the coolant, other than me spilling some trying to pour it. So let me get this cleaned up. I'm gonna clean the upper radiator shroud off. And I tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and put the 13, I think it's a 13 millimeter that holds the charcoal canister that I painted, get it in place too. Now that we got this thing cleaned up, we need to put that on the top of the radiator. And this one over here. And this guy obviously goes in this mix here. There's little tabs that hold the top to the bottom, which kind of help line things up. Yeah. And then we've got to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 that sandwich the two radiator shrouds together. I'll give you an idea. This is kind of how I paint them, and then I label them so we have an idea where everything goes, because a lot of these bolts look the exact same. So you could potentially get to a point where you can't put something somewhere. So label your stuff. Some of these are thicker than the others too, I noticed. So you may have to kind of go back and forth. I just want to get it cinched down. We may have to move some of these down to the bottom. It seems like the bottom one's just set up just a little different. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and try to snug down the top ones. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to drop one in a minute. It's almost inevitable. Because these lowers are going in just plastic to plastic, I generally tighten those just by hand. You're set. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my wire. There's a holder in the center. Then this wire fits in here, kind of like this. I don't know what that zip tie's for. Perfect. We'll cut that zip tie off. What it's about. Now, if you remember me saying, this truck ran and drove, okay? There was no issues with it other than it does leak some oil, and I think one of the primary areas we're gonna address in a later video. But look guys, my son had a 4.3 truck. It quit running. Turned out it wasn't getting spark. I think it was the coil. Now, it could be that it is the, oh, look. All right. It could be that it is the module here, all right, because I know they're common to go bad. But what we're going to do is we're going to replace the coil with a new GM one. That is what I got here. I'll list in the description down below. But GM, in their infinite wisdom, guys, they riveted this together. So what we're going to have to do, and luckily, look, it comes with bolts to put it back together, and like a little sleeve. That's awesome, because there's, once you drill out the rivets, unless you have another rivet or a rivet gun, you can't put this back together. So this makes life a little easier on you. So you've got these guys here, which we'll deal with a little later. I probably shouldn't even dump them out, but I need to get my drill, and I need to drill out this bracket. Now the bracket only goes in the bottom, which is good, but let's grab a small drill bit. I may actually center punch those too, so we don't go crazy, and we're gonna knock the heads off these rivets, push those through, and then I'm gonna give this a good cleanup before we go back together with the new one. I'll kind of show you how the new one fits into place. Now, I center punched it with my punch there, and I'm starting with an 1/8 inch drill bit. We may have to step up to a bigger size, but my battery went dead on my drill. Holy cow, guys. We're getting there. It's gonna take a bigger one, I think. It's always good to start with a smaller size, though. I think GM made their rivets out of some really good steel. Holy cow. I wonder how far I am in. Yeah, I'm almost there. Once this thing gets drilled out, you can see what happens is it kind of all falls apart on you. All right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this up, both the brackets and this stuff here. This is obviously, well, it could or could not be junk. So I guess we could keep it because we're gonna know here in a little bit whether that was the problem. But I'm gonna clean this up, then we'll turn the camera back on and I'll kind of show you how it goes together. But you can see this is how it's sandwiched before. And these holes line up with the bottom holes, obviously. Now that we got it all cleaned up, we're gonna grab our new coil. And I don't even remember which way it went, guys. I think it was this way. Yep, looks like it. And once we do that, I don't necessarily think we have to have the other piece in there, but we're gonna put it in there. So these little guys here, they kind of go up in place and sandwich around it, okay? So it gives you the ability to kind of tie in the top. I don't know how important that is, but it comes with 2 different lengths of bolts. Obviously you got the long one, and so the long one goes through first, followed by this guy. All right, so you can kind of see how it goes together. Like that. Okay, and then this other one goes on the other side. I don't really see the point in it. It's kind of in the way of the other. But there you go. At least that's how I think it's supposed to go together. I don't know that you need these, but we may or may not use them. I'm gonna try to snug some of this down. After messing around with this, guys, there's no possible, I mean, this doesn't mount to anything. I don't know if there was an older version that had a plate and this is just a universal thing that comes with it, but yeah, there's like no way that this even makes sense. I mean, you could potentially put it like that, but then the other one's shaped the same way, so it doesn't really line up. So we're just not gonna use those. This thing's gonna be pretty stationary, and I only had 2 rivets holding it in to begin with. I just used a 7mm to snug that down, and I think we're ready to put this in the truck. So back on the back of the intake, there's just 2 10mm that hold this guy into place. We'll set it in there, get it plugged in, and I'll show you what it looks like. We got it snug down back here. Also just noticed this was broken. That's not good. Or at least a part. Somebody's fixed on that before. So, all right, guys, look, we're to the point now where we need to put the air box in, plug the mass airflow sensor in, but this guy right here plugs in. And we got our coil somewhere right there. Oh, there we go. And then we should have a coil wire. There we go, right there. Get that dirt out of there. Okay, everything's plugged up. Now I'm gonna clean the intake off and the box. We're gonna get it put in and cinched down. Make sure there's no problems there, yeah? I think we're good. Just that's supposed to hook on something, a wire or plug, but I think we'll be okay. Okay, let me go get the box and the intake, and we'll snap it in. Then we'll get the battery in, and then we're gonna see, guys, if this thing will fire up or if my problem is the module, which very well could be. I've chosen to do this in two separate pieces. You can see I've got this guy here. This is interesting. I always thought this was a weird look for this, but this is how it goes on. You got a little thumb screw that goes to this. We got our PCB hook up there. Probably could use a new one. Pretty sturdy. Alright, I gotta clean the rest up and look how that's loose. Bought an Optima battery to put in it, which I know is a little bit of overkill for what we're doing here, but we may end up keeping it in here. I don't know. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is I've got to get this attachment off. Like I said, he had it hooked up here because this was all stripped out, the side posts. And so we're going to undo his screw up, hook up the positive first. If I have some bolts, actually, now that I think about that, I'm going to need a side post bolt. We'll figure it out. One thing I almost completely forgot about, 13 millimeter is what holds that battery to that tray. And so we need to get that in there, actually. I like doing that before I hook up the battery because inevitably it's in the way if you don't. And you're going to have to use a pretty long extension to get it started. This is assuming the battery tray is good. Kind of slide it over. I don't have a ton of room. Oh yeah. I've got the caps to this battery somewhere. I was charging it. I gotta find those too. Found the battery caps, and this is what we needed. So we could put it back in like it was supposed to be. Yep. Perfect. Now, we're going to go ahead and hook up the positive. Uh-oh. I don't want to strip the battery in that. I'm loving that. Okay, good. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you ever have issues hooking up these batteries. Oh, got a positive and a negative on. I think I've got the key on. Yeah, I had the key. I've left the key in it because nobody can break in and take it. Didn't have anything hooked up. Well, before we get cracking here, guys, let's check the oil. Make sure we're good there. Look, like I said, it leaks. I didn't think it leaked that much, and it didn't. Look like we're pretty good there. We are going to give it a shot. I've got to peel some stuff. Oh yeah, perfect. I've got to peel some stuff off the back. I just don't want it rattling around and falling off that we've got, but then we'll step back and I will let you guys see it the same time I do, whether it runs or not. Well, it's go time. Look, hey, good news is if the fuel pump's bad, the bed's off. We can do that. Good news is if it doesn't start, remember it ran before, so if it doesn't start, that means it's probably that module on the coil pack. Very well could be. Let's give it a shot. Doesn't sound good. necessarily. Guys, I would be willing to bet it's that module, but I'm gonna need help to figure that out. I'm gonna need somebody out here cranking on this thing while I test for spark. It's getting fuel. I can definitely smell it after cranking it a couple times. It's got to be that module on that coil pack. And look guys, I assumed that the coil went bad. I didn't test it. It just didn't have fire. So like I said, I just robbed that whole bracket off, switched it to Kohen's truck, and down the road we went. And I just haven't messed with this truck until then. So what I think I'm gonna do is, I really would rather have a GM one, but I also understand that right now I just want one. So I may run to the local parts store so I can see if we can get this thing started. It makes me crazy. I want to get it. I want to hear it run. As I should have just showed this on camera. I thought the camera was running, but I had Kohen out here cranking it over. I pulled a spark plug wire off and no fire. So yeah, we definitely have a coil. It's not the, well, I guess I could have got a bad coil out of the box, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go buy one of those modules. We're going to flip that. I think they have two-sided tape on the back side, and then they have like what looks like two 7mm bolts on them back there, this guy here. So we'll get that off. Let me see if I can get one, get it replaced, and then we will we'll see if that's the problem. One other thing I didn't tell you guys about, I did have to put a hose clamp here. I know you didn't see that, but I got a module, an ignition module. So instead of trying to reach back there and do all that crap back in the back, I'm just going to take that back off, take those two 10mm out that held that thing in, unplug everything. We'll get it over here on the bench and see if we can get this separated, because I know guys that they kind of glue this with the screws. Well, got it out of there. 7/30 seconds. It's a little guy. So our new one we got is a standard, which, like I said guys, I had to go to a local parts store and get it. I'm sure you can get it cheaper online. As a matter of fact, I think they make a package on Amazon with a GM coil and an aftermarket module. Oh my gosh, look at that. I don't know how easy this will separate. Maybe we'll get lucky. Oh, okay. Came right off there. So, what you're gonna notice is there's a little dielectric grease. At least I'm assuming it's dielectric grease, but it comes with grease. And I assume that's for heat. So we're gonna put a little back here on the back. Of course, that didn't cut all the way open. We'll put a little here on the back. And then we'll put a little on our new piece. And we'll put it back together. With the same bolts. Or so I think. Yeah. Not a lot of room here. I think I got it started. Yep. And I gotta clean off my fingers. We'll snug this up, put it back on, and give it another shot. We got it back on. What's your guys' guess? Think that fixed it? Was that our problem? Let's give it a shot. You guys can hear that, but the power steering pump's making some noise. My guess is it's a little low on fluid. Check it. Yeah, I call it out of fluid actually. Let me fill that up, we'll start it back up again. Got it topped off with power steering fluid, guys. I can tell you that we've obviously got a that could be what I'm seeing leaking. You know, I put a new, we addressed some of the steering issues with this truck by putting a Cunningham Motorsports shaft in and eliminating the rag joints. But my neighbor had a good pump off a truck, or not pump, but power steering gear. So I put that on. That was a long time ago. And so I'm wondering if my pump looks pretty wet around the outside. I don't necessarily want to put one of those on right now. So we just topped it off and it was very low. So I think that is a majority of my leak that I see underneath. It may not even be oil, but anyway, let's start it again. There you have it. Exciting stuff, guys. I know it doesn't seem that exciting because the thing ran and drove, but look, we got some stuff cleaned up. I did, you know, a little bit of cleanup as we went. That's kind of going to be my process on this truck for a while, until maybe someday we decide to blow it up. Blow it apart, and you know, go all in. We did that kind of on the bed, but because the bottom of the bed is coated with Raptor liner. Obviously my painter filled all the holes and whatnot, but for now, like I said, I just want to drive it. And so if we decide down the road we want to, you know, pull, it's not much to pull the bed off, so it's not that big a deal. But the goal for this video was to get it running, and we got that done. So and you guys heard, it is whisper quiet. This motor seems to be in good shape. I don't know if it's the original. This thing has like 200,000 miles on it, I believe. I don't even know if the odometer works now that I think about that. For some reason, I was thinking it didn't work or something. But either way, I don't know how many miles it has on it. I don't know if this is the original motor, but it sure sounds good. It's got great oil pressure. We may have to dig into the power steering leak, but I also need to get this thing aligned. There's a lot of stuff that we need to get accomplished, but I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek because I visited LMC Trucks. It's about 3 hours for me. We had to go up there to Kansas City to get some other stuff. And so I actually, guys, got a lot of new parts that you're gonna be seeing in coming videos very soon. I've got a new filler piece that goes under the grill. I've got a new grill. I've got a new hood. I got all these from LMC. I also got 3 bumpers, and you'll just have to see what those bumpers are for, but that will be coming in a video soon as well. Look, guys, it's exciting to put stuff back together. And like I said, I'm not trying to make a show truck here. One thing I will tell you is I thought it was funny that when I went to the salvage yard and was looking for some random pieces, I was actually looking for maybe a used hood since I got rid of my original, but every single one of those coils or those modules were gone off every truck I looked at. So obviously it's an issue, and since they're so expensive, I think people probably just get one for cheap at the salvage yard and call it good. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please, like always, smash that thumbs up button. Guys, if you are not subscribed, go down there, hit that subscribe. We got more coming on this truck and all this other stuff in here, and stay tuned to see what we work on next.